Good morning, world. Oh, a bit croaky there. I thought it's been quite a long time since I spoke to you about yeast and parasites, fungus, candida, that kind of thing, and parasites. So I thought I would again, as it's been a while. So I believe that pretty much everyone is suffering from a yeast and or parasite issue. They say the figures are about 70%, but I've come to realise that it's much higher than that. When I used to be a food intolerance tester. Use a machine that used to do the food intolerance testing, but it also used to test for parasites and yeast and things like this. And everyone I tested pretty much had this issue. And you can tell if you read the symptoms of these issues, which is quite a long list online, then I think most people can probably agree that they have them. And a sure sign of a yeast overgrowth is things like oral or genital thrush, athlete's foot, breaking out in weird skin conditions. Even eczema and psoriasis can be flared by it. And yeah, a lot of mucus, whether that's in or from, should I say, the genitals or in the mouth, the nose, that kind of thing. And generally what we do is we buy a pill or a lotion and we apply it to that area, and it might go away for a bit, but then it always comes back, or it comes back in a different area. And that is because it all stems from here. So when you put the pill or lotion on your feet, for instance, it's only helping temporarily that area. And if you have a yeast overgrowth in the body, then most of the time the parasites turn up as well, because they love that kind of funky environment to live in. So then you end up with this parasite issue, and there are probably hundreds of symptoms of that, so I won't go into that. But if you actually do see them in your feces or anything, then that means they're really kind of taken hold by that point. And again, you can address that issue with a pill or something. But the next lot will come and settle in as well if you don't address the yeasty issue as well. But basically, they're a sign. Oh, isn't that pretty? Look at that. Look at life. They're a sign of having a digestive imbalance as well. So if you have your good and your bad bacteria imbalance in your digestive system, then you are probably not going to have a problem with a yeast overgrowth. So as well as addressing, bringing the yeast and the parasites back into control, as it were, sorting them out, you also have to address the imbalance in the digestive system, which will then have a snowball effect with so many other health conditions. I mean, really, you've all heard me talk about this, but what I believe are the two most important things for mental and physical health are the mind and the digestive system. When we address those two, we can pretty much withstand anything. So What I always suggest, and I have a whole book on this called Cleanse, as it happens, which also comes with some videos you can watch online and do along with each week of the cleanse, is that you do a cleanse to cleanse yourself of these yeasts and parasites. It is quite strict. Now, when I was looking into this myself years ago, I found that people were doing these diets for years. And I was like, wow, that seems a bit crazy, not having any form of sugar or yeast or anything for years. I know it took years to get all funky in the first place, but it seems quite unmanageable that for that whole time you would not be able to enjoy any naughtiness at all. So I kept researching and kept playing around and doing things on myself, and what I found is that if you stick to a very strict diet of no sugars at all, so that's even fruit sugars, no yeast at all, even vinegars and things, for it's different for different people, depends on the severity of your overgrowth, but between 4 and 6 weeks. And you know when you're done, because you all of a sudden feel like you do after a cold or a flu. Like all of a sudden wake up one morning, you're like, I'm done. But during the cleanse, you can feel quite rotten, really. There's no other way of putting it, because you're detoxing from all these yeasts and parasites and things. And you're taking natural antifungals at the same time. So they're really strong natural antifungals. Oregano oil and grapefruit seed extract. And there are some other things you can throw in to help as well. Black walnut and stuff like that. It's all in the cleanse book. You're also in that time not having white carbs. And a few other things, like anything that kind of creates a sugary environment in the digestive system. So you're starving these naughties out of your system, and you are putting in lots of nutrient-dense foods, putting in natural antifungals and things, anti-parasites. And then, like I say, between 4 and 6 weeks, it can be close to the 6 if you have a severe issue. You will wake up one morning and you're like, I'm done. I just feel it. It's past. And then I always leave it a few more days. I would after that. And then you can start adding in fruit and things again. But you will continue with the grapefruit seed extract and oregano oil for 12 weeks, because that's the life cycle of the parasite. So if you stop taking those too early, what happens is you get rid of all the live parasites, but any of the eggs that they laid, they hatch, and then it all starts again. So you have to take those two things for 12 weeks to make sure that anything that hatches is also dispatched of, released out of your system. So after that time, you should find yourself yeast and parasite free, or at least brought back into a balance with the yeast. You know, we do need some what we call bad stuff in us. There should be a balance. We shouldn't be wiping everything out, which is what, you know, antibiotics and things do. So after that, what I always recommend is that everyone consumes fermented foods and drinks every day, because that keeps a good level of healthy bacteria in the digestive system, good bacteria, that then stops you, should I say, from starting to have an issue again. So these things are amazing, because you are still able then to, you know, go out for a nice meal and have some wine and I don't know, a big birthday cake or something, or, you know, maybe even get stressed for a weekend, because that also impacts all of these things in the body as well. So you can live a life and not worry about it all coming back if you keep consuming fermented foods and drinks every day. And the fermented foods and drinks are a good lead up to doing a yeast and parasite cleanse, because you will, like I said, feel rotten during that yeast and parasite cleanse, particularly if you had a bad overgrowth. So if you could start consuming fermented foods and drinks beforehand, then you already start to detox from some of what's going on, and you don't feel so bad then during the actual cleanse itself. It's a bit easier. So they're a good thing to have before, and they're a good thing to continue to have afterwards. And obviously they help with lots of other things as well, not just the digestive system. They're helping with your hormones and your mood and energy levels and skin, hair and nails and all sorts of other things. And partially actually because they remove this overgrowth of yeast. You know, this Candida overgrowth that we get doesn't just affect our genitals and things like this. It affects our hormones and hair and skin and nails and all sorts of things. It runs rife through our system. But yeah, particularly our hormones. You know, if you're feeling yourself a bit hormonal and you generally have a good diet, you're not having lots of sugars and caffeines and not getting stressed a lot, then it's possible that, you know, there is an overgrowth in your system. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to share with you all. Like I say, I have a whole book that takes you through step by step about that cleanse. But if you've got any questions about it at all, just pop them below or send me a message or something, because it is something that I think that everybody should do, particularly, you know, if we spent years of getting stressed, partying hard, you know, university, antibiotics, other medications. It's something that we should all be doing, but it's something that you don't need to keep doing. You know, unless you're having, again, lots of medications, lots of stress, not eating right, not consuming fermented foods, that kind of thing, it's not something that you should need to repeatedly do. It's something that you do once, and you find it will bring you back into balance. And for those of you that are struggling to lose weight and stuff, it is a massive way to lose a huge amount of weight, because you're losing toxins that you're carrying. You're losing a lot of toxins, and it's a more subtle, easier way, in a way, than these crappy juice cleanses and things like that, which actually don't do very much. So yeah, this way you're releasing a lot of fungus and toxins and various other things that are probably hindering your ability to lose weight. So yeah, it has a huge knock-on effect with so many things. So yeah, that's from me. Like I say, if you have any questions, let me know. Ciao.